Chad here again, TBI Guy Speaks, tbiguyspeaks.webs.com, TBI Guy Speaks on YouTube, and also on Facebook. Tonight we're going into round number 2 of the dating do's and don'ts when you have suffered an injury such as myself, traumatic brain injury, or anything else that would help you make bad choices and bad decisions when you start into the dating game again. And of course that also works with those same concepts and losing an arm, for example, or something else that makes you different than the way you used to be. That being said, that is one major thing, and I might have stepped on that a little bit the last video, but you cannot, well, as a matter of fact, I know I did because I was explaining how I did that, but once again, do not compare your present self to your past self, because that does no good. It makes you look like you are somebody that you used to be, but you no longer are. You know, I can't go out and run my 14-minute 2-mile run anymore. You know, I can't do my 70 push-ups in 2 minutes. I can't do that stuff as far as like the PT from the military, because, you know, as you see, I'm dressed out in my Army shirt that still fits and still held up really good after 20 years. Anyways, but, you know, you've changed. And so don't try to compare the old you to the new you, because it does not work. And that being said, you also want to be very open and honest with the person that you are dating and trying to get to know better. Because, once again, bringing up the old you doesn't tell them anything about the new you. So, you kind of, if later on down the line, if you guys get serious enough and she wants to know or he wants to know about your past, that's fine. You know, then you can say all that stuff. But don't focus on that now. You know, yeah, I used to be an engineer. Well, now I'm a Napa auto parts salesman. Hey, which is fine. It's great. I love my job. But I'm not an engineer anymore. But, you know, I'm not going to focus on the fact that I used to be an engineer and now I'm not. So, very important things you want to keep in stride, or what's the word I'm looking for? Just
keep in mind.
Keep in mind. There we go. My producer's awesome. So, once again, you want to be very open and honest. You know, because no matter what, dishonesty will be found out eventually. It's just the way it always works. So, if you're upfront and honest right off the bat, you don't have anything to worry about. What else we got in here? Yeah, one thing you need to make sure of is make sure that you're both ready to talk, and don't get too serious about things until you're both comfortable talking about serious stuff. But, you know, it's all on how the relationship goes, because you don't want to spill your guts on the first date and then all of a sudden just overwhelm somebody to where they say, yeah, not ready for this mess. And it might not even be a mess, but it's just the way it sounds if you're putting out that much information right off the bat. Okay, always ask a lot of questions about the other person, because obviously you want to know about them just as much as you hope they want to learn about you. But be careful with that. Don't ask stupid questions that would pretty much will make you look like somebody that you're not wanting to appear to be. Like somebody that's just wanting to move on real fast and get into a serious hot relationship, because you don't want to start off any relationship that way, because when they start out like a bang, they usually fizzle out really quick just the same. If you are, okay, we already kind of went over that. Once again, if you are very different than you used to be, personality, your faith, your skills, your abilities, etc., don't focus on the old you, focus on the new you. Once again, you know, I used to be able to do a lot of things that I can't do now, and I don't want to put that out there because it doesn't do anybody any good. and it makes it sound like you are worshiping your old self, which is not the case. At least it shouldn't be, because you're only supposed to worship God. And which brings me to the next point. Talking religion is an awesome thing because you kind of want to know where they stand. You might not want to get really too deep into it right off the bat. However, you find out that they're Christian. Cool, you go to church. How often do you go to church? Where do you go to church? What's your denomination? Those are things that you definitely want to look into for the future anyways, because if you're going to be a family and have a family, and of course, we're talking way, way down the line, but it's something that's nice to know right off the bat. Find out which way you'd want to go with it, because if you're like my wife, as of now, and myself, we were not the same. We were both Christians, but I was a Catholic, and she was more of a non-denominational Christian. And when we were talking about this stuff, she said she would become a Catholic and go through the RCIA classes, so that way we could raise our family as one from the same church, which worked out a whole lot better than what I could have ever asked for. Because her learning the Catholic faith at a later age, she obviously understood it more and took it in more than when we learned it as kids. Because usually when we're kids in something like CCD or whatever, we're just thinking about, okay, I wonder if I'm going to be able to play video games when I get home or whatever, because that really wasn't a thing back when I was a kid anyways. We didn't have video games at our house. But anyways, think about, okay, what am I going to do after CCD and this and that? And that's, you tend to not focus on enough stuff that's important. Also, people change over time. It's just a fact of life. We get older, we slow down, or we need to slow down. And I say that because I don't slow down, but I need to, because I've got one good arm, and I got to make sure it works for the rest of my life, because if I break it, what am I going to do? I'm not even going to go there. It's just not a good thing. But at any rate, it's just the fact of life. Let's see what we have here. I got to read what my producer writes on the paper, because, she's smart. People change over time, yes. Sometimes naturally and other times out of necessity. Case in point, my accident. Never plan on trying to change somebody else. That does not work. And usually it just causes a fight, a commotion, and a wreck, and it can tear up a relationship really quick. If you don't like the person as they are, move on. Sometimes they will. For example, my wife, she changed from being a non-denominational Christian to becoming Catholic. That was awesome. I didn't make her do it, but it's something she chose that she wanted to do, which worked out great. I did not push, I did not ask. It's just something she wanted to do, because we realized early on that we were going to have a life together that lasted longer than just a dating scene. Once again, you also don't want to focus on past relationships, how they might have been bad, how they might have been good. You don't worry about that stuff. The more you learn about the person that you're with, the easier it is to not just totally trash your relationship. But, you can look at some of the things that you did in the past for ideas to not do on this relationship. But the number one thing is you talk with the person that you're dating. Communication is the number one thing in my mind that I've learned throughout all my years that is of most importance, because the more you talk, the more you communicate, the better everything is. You don't hide secrets, because they always get found out somehow. And if it is there is a secret that you're hiding and somebody finds out, your partner finds out, it usually doesn't end well. So upfront honesty and communication is your number one things. And as you go along and you get closer, pray together. If you can go to church together, That's awesome. You know, if you've got something going on that you really want some help with, that you're going to pray to God, ask your partner if they'll pray with you, because prayer is an awesome fact of life that we all need to do, because you know God's the one up there that's got control over us, and we need His help. And if you can make that connection with your significant other and God and all three together, that's just the best, because that's when you're all on the same page, everything works out better. And don't ruin a developing relationship by trying to get too physical too fast, because that just shows a desire for lust, not love. And a relationship that's formed off of that is usually not one that's going to last very long. You need to get comfortable with the person. You just need to you have to make sure that they're going to be the right one for you. You know, that's where you find out, you know, with this communication thing, talking about what they like, what they don't like. My wife and I have a lot of things that we have in common. Our religion, for example, is very, very in tune right now, and it always has been ever since she became a Catholic and got me more wrapped up into the Catholic faith. But yet we have our differences. Like, I'm into my NASCAR as much as she's into her Hollywood plays or whatnot, you know? Shakespeare and things like that.
Broadway, not Hollywood.
Okay, there we go. See, But we have enough stuff that we can get along great with so many things like religion, and then we have enough differences that if she needs a break from me or I need a break from her, hey, I can go sit down and watch my NASCAR or a car movie or whatever, just as much as she can pop in a play about Shakespeare. I mean, you got to have similarities, but you got to have your own differences too, so that way we need a little break. You can break off into your own little world and be good.
Or guys' night or girls' night.
Guys' night, girls' night. Yeah, those are pretty cool too. That'll work. Anyways, on that note, I think we're going to call it quits for this evening. Remember, once again, tbiguyspeaks.webs.com is my website. TBI Guy Speaks on YouTube as well as on Facebook. Spread it, like it, share it, and we will talk to you next week. And I'm not sure what topic we're going to work on yet, so it'll be a surprise. But anyways, God bless you all, and we will talk to you again.